kind of overhype the harms of soy in general. However, there's one soy product, you can find it in bars and other things, other manufactured processed foods. It's called isolated soy protein. This particular component, like dairy, can raise the insulin-like growth factor level. So I would avoid isolated soy protein. But soy milk does not have isolated soy protein. Soy yogurt does not have it. Many other products, tofu does not have this. So I would just, if you're going to have a Cliff Bar, have it once in a while. Don't have it all the time as your source of protein. Whole soy products, like I mentioned, are not associated with this. If you have thyroid disease, you need to balance out soy with other protein, and you need to make sure you get enough iodine. And our salt generally has iodine added to it. And Indian diet, as we know, has plenty of options. We don't need to have soy substitutes for everything. You know, if you're coming from eating meat and you need a soy chicken and a soy beef and a soy everything, it's different than if we have dal and we have chana and we have all kinds of other things that we eat. So just balance it out with everything else. Okay, got a few slides on diabetes. I'll go through them fast. So lots of people have diabetes in the US, 26 million, 18 million diagnosed. If you look over time, rates of obesity and diabetes, obesity on the top, and diabetes are increasing from 1994 to 2008. This is US population as a whole. We know many people in our own community who have diabetes too. I borrowed some slides off the internet from someone talking about glycemic index. We talked about that earlier. So there's many things that influence glycemic index. We know if you're diabetic, you should avoid sugar. But there's other things that affect the level of blood sugar in your bloodstream when you eat food. So some of those things are the type of starch, how the food has the starch encased or entrapped, the fiber, the sugar content, the fat content, the protein content, acid, food processing, and cooking. These factors all affect how we feel after eating and how this affects our glycemic levels. There are benefits to a low glycemic index diet. Documented benefits are lowering blood glucose, lowering cholesterol, lowering weight, lowering heart disease risk, and lowering type 2 diabetes. So this is something else we can think about. How to increase consumption. Some examples. Eat high fiber breakfast cereals. Add berries, nuts, flaxseed, and cinnamon. Or instead of adding that to high glycemic index cereals, add that to the high fiber, and you've got the best benefit there. Okay, so this is a sort of Western example, dense whole grain, sourdough breads and crackers. But think about, for our own diets, whole wheat, brown rice, the whole grains as much as we can, millet, things like that that have fiber. And you can also add protein or something like that if it's a refined carbohydrate. Include 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. So if you're doing ombel and you're not doing fruits and vegetables, that's once in a while. But in your general diet, include a lot of fruits and vegetables, not just our carbohydrates. Just do it.
What's your definition of serving? This much or that much or?
Servings, so that's another whole discussion. And there's a handout by Jain who gave a presentation in Jina, and it lists the calorie and carbohydrate amounts of various foods. So we can post this with her permission on the website. I'll just sort of show you. I think she'll give permission because she just asked people to email her if she wanted it. And that gives you some calorie and carbohydrate contents of commonly consumed Indian foods, including roti, puri, idli, dosa, things like that, khichdi. And then what is 30 grams of carbohydrates? And she gives recommendations, foods to avoid and foods to limit. So this will be up. I don't think she'll have any problem. I haven't asked her, but I think this will be up on the website. You can look at that also. So currently, there used to be a food guide pyramid. Now the USDA has put out the plate with fruits, grains, vegetables, and dairies. I consider it a compromise, and that X is fine. I X'd out the dairy. Because if the USDA was not driven by meat and dairy industry lobbyists, there would be no dairy. There would be no need for dairy on the plate. And if you feel like you want to substitute for milk, there's almond milk, there's soy milk, there's rice milk, there's hemp milk, there's oat milk. If you want to substitute for yogurt, there's soy yogurt. There's now coconut yogurt, although I would be careful about that because it's saturated fat. If you really feel like you need a substitute, they all exist. But dairy is not actually helpful for your health at all. And you have to remember that recommendations are driven by profit. not by science. My recommendation for drinks, last year we had a number of presentations regarding veganism, and people asked, what should they drink in the morning? What can they give their child if they're not going to give them milk? A smoothie. They're called green smoothies. This one has beets in it, so it's kind of red. But if you avoid beets or avoid roots, the main component is those high calcium vegetables that I talked about, like kale, something like that. Add kale and add in some fruit so that it's not bitter, and blend it up with some walnuts, some water. You can use a fancy blender, like a Vitamix, or this one, or you can use a plain old regular blender and have that. And that's a very healthy way to start your morning. You can have it anytime. Other recommendations. You'll hear some people talking about eating raw. One of the studies was about a raw vegan diet. If it's raw, it's going to have a lower glycemic index. It's a little harder for your body to get the blood sugar up. So in some ways, that's helpful. It retains nutrients in some foods. When you cook tomatoes, you get lycopene, which is protective against prostate cancer. So that's cooking being helpful. But you also lose some nutrients. If you cook cauliflower and vegetables in that family, you lose one of the cancer-fighting enzymes. So it can go both ways. Cooking can be helpful, raw can be helpful. Most scientists consider boiling and steaming as good methods of food preparation, but not frying and broiling. Overcooking is going to make you lose vegetables' nutrient value. Baking may produce some unhealthy byproducts. I'm going to bring up the idea of organic. We live in the Bay Area. You'll see everywhere organic this, organic that, right? And I'm not even going to address organic meat and milk because I think organic meat is still full of violence, and organic milk is actually still resulting in violence to the cows because those cows are still being killed, even if you think that they might be treated somewhat differently. But for vegetables and those things that I'm talking about in this lecture, organic means it's going to be less violence towards the workers. They won't get sprayed by chemicals and have health problems, and less violence towards those insects that would be sprayed and killed otherwise. But they may be using animal matter for fertilizing the soil, so it's not always completely vegetarian. Some studies have also shown better nutritional value. So on balance, I would say organic is better. I tend to buy organic. Even if it costs a little bit more, I think it's worthwhile. So vitamins to supplement B12, both vegetarians and vegans have been found to need to supplement. This is made by bacteria. If you buy supplemented soy milk or almond milk, then you're covered. You can readily get a supplement. Most people who are able to digest it do fine with the oral supplement. If you're older, if you can't digest it anymore, you can have an injection. In India, I understand sometimes doctors have this practice of just giving people B12 injections to make them feel more energetic. That's not necessary. That's only if you really have a problem digesting B12, okay? And then vitamin D is also becoming more and more known in science to be important. You get it from the sun. With our skin tones, it would take 30 minutes of exposure per day. And generally, a lot of us are trying to avoid sun exposure. So if you can get out in the sun, you can put sunscreen on your face. If you can get out in the sun and get some sun, that's our natural way of getting vitamin D. There's also supplements. Vitamin D2 is always vegetarian, vegan. Vitamin D3 generally is not. There's one that's been put on the market that's manufactured from mushrooms, which some people have investigated and they think it is vegan and some people are not sure. So I'm still not sure about that vegan vitamin D3, but I try to get sun and I try to have some vitamin D2 supplement also. So coming back to our traditional practices, you know, as Jains, we're told to really be careful about what we eat. When we do our pratikama, we think about all the life that we've consumed during the day. Eating mindfully, carefully, consciously, this is also good for us, ahimsa to ourselves, as well as ahimsa to other beings. If you choose slowly and you consider what life we've taken and what value this brings to our body, this slows us down. You will eat less, you'll enjoy more, your body will use it better, you'll have better absorption and better nutrition for your body. So we don't always have a mealtime prayer. I've been asked by friends from other religions, what's the Jain prayer that you say at mealtime? I've said Kamini Sabijiva, but it's not exactly the same as other religions have for their mealtime prayer. But I would just suggest that you slow down and you think about something in yourself that slows you down and really gives thanks and acknowledges the life that you're taking. And on this slide is a set of what they call mindfulness training. It's also a prayer that's said before meals. And I think this is very consistent with Jainism. It comes out of a sister Buddhist tradition. And it says, this food is a gift of the earth, the sky, numerous living beings, and much hard work. May we eat with mindfulness and gratitude, thanking all this life. May we transform our unwholesome mental formations, especially our greed, and eat with moderation. May we keep our compassion alive by eating in a way that we reduce the suffering of living beings, preserve our planet, and reverse the process of global warming. We accept this food to nurture our sisterhood and brotherhood, strengthen our sun, and nourish our ideal of serving beings. After all, why are we here? We want to keep ourselves healthy so that we can grow spiritually and contribute to the world around us. Think about where we fit into society in the U.S. We're now stable. You know, as an immigrant community, we've been here. We're doing pretty well as an Indian American community. We don't need to just try to fit in and just eat what everybody else is eating and what the marketplace is pushing. We need to find allies within this culture for a Ahimsak lifestyle and find ways to support that. Take small steps to change ourselves and take big steps to change our society. We can help change the government incentives that subsidize meat and dairy that actually lead to unhealthy lifestyles, fuel our costs and our suffering for healthcare. So I can take some questions now. Also see postings on veganjains.com. This presentation with corrections will be posted on veganjains.com, and I'll post any additional resources. So you just have to go to that one place and you can refer to that for anything else. And you can also add comments and have a little bit of a dialogue on that website afterwards.